guys, this is my Trifles analysis. I chose the prompt that was about how the symbols in Minnie and John Wright's life corresponded to the major themes in the play. I find it ironic that Miss Glasswell chose the title Trifles for her play, because trifles by definition means all of the little things that add up to one big thing in the end, and it led me to believe that Trifles was about how all the little things in Minnie's life led up to the death of her husband. So the prompt that I'm answering deals with many themes that correspond to the early 1900s and how women didn't have enough rights back then. Through the story, there's many themes, from everything that started way back when Minnie and John got married to the death of John, relates to at least one of the three major themes that I will be pointing out in later slides. Some examples of the symbols in the story that relate to the themes are the singing canary, the bird, the cage, the telephone, the rope, the quilt, and the items in the house. Now, the singing canary and the bird are completely different properties, and I'll explain that in future slides. One is more of an action, and the bird itself is more of a physical thing. So the singing canary represents Minnie when she was younger. Minnie used to sing in the choir, but for some reason when she got married to John, she stopped. The fact that John is the reason that she stopped singing can be related to one of the themes of the play, which would be male superiority. Throughout the entire production, the author hints about how women don't have equal rights and how the men have supremacy over their wives. Women couldn't go into a store without asking their husband first if they could go there. They were getting supplies for the family, but they still had to check in with their husband. They couldn't do certain things that their husbands said that they couldn't do. For example, this would be John telling Minnie that she couldn't sing in the choir anymore. She loved doing this, but because he told her not to, she had to stop, because that's what socially accepted then. Okay, so the bird is this physical thing. In theory, the bird is Minnie. She's the little person in the entire story, and after John wrung the neck of this bird, it's almost as if he tried to kill her soul. The bird was the only emotion that she felt inside of the house. Miss Hales and Miss Peters both agree that John was a very bland person that almost never expressed how he felt towards Minnie in a positive way. The discussion between the county attorney and Miss Hales says it all. You mean that they didn't get on very well? No, I don't mean anything, but I don't think a place would be any cheerfuler for John Knight's being in it. That quote right there says everything. People outside of the household knew how John was. So if the bird was Minnie, then that would only leave the house to be her enclosure, as the bird was in the cage. She never socialized with anyone outside the house. It seems that it was simply her and her husband who disregarded her emotions. He never told her he loved her. He never showed any positive affection towards this woman that had been married since they were young. He practically pretended that she wasn't there. After Minnie brought the canary into the house, he killed it because it was loud and obnoxious. This can be tied to another theme of the play, women's lack of rights. Women didn't have a voice in the early 1900s. Miss Glasswell was trying to get the point across that women do have a power in society, and sometimes men can't see it. But as we see now, because we're in the future, we see that there have been some really important women who have taken actions to better the society. So the telephone is a way to escape the house, according to John. One of John's friends tried to come over and talk to him about it, and that's actually how they found out that John was murdered or killed himself, or, he was dead. Before the scene when they come into the house and they find Minnie in the rocking chair, his friend talks about John's actions towards the telephone. He wasn't interested, and the fact that people talk too much anyways can lead the audience to believe that he didn't want any contact with the outside world, and it was fine that his wife didn't have that privilege either. From the evidence provided in the text, it seems as if he tried to keep her away from anything that would allow her to flourish in the outside world. A quote on page 226 from the critical articles explains this. Her isolation in the gloom of her surroundings and her husband's dissipation slowly drove her to the brink of insanity. So the rope is another symbol that's mentioned in the play. The rope that Minnie used to strangle her husband was in the formation of a noose. This clearly symbolizes how the women of the early 1900s were strangled due to their lack of rights. Miss Glaspell convinces the audience that the men are the lower intellectual humans when compared to the women of the story. The other quote from the critical articles also supports this. In other words, by depicting the men in the play off as foolish and crude, and elevating the woman to the statutes of clever sleuths, charged with defending one of their own against an unjustly oppressive, male-dominated world, the play inadvertently promotes that which it seeks to undermine. Miss Glaspell was trying to get her ideas into the world. She was trying to tell the women indirectly, it's okay to stand up, men have too much power, and you are equal to them. So when Miss Hale and Miss Peters find the quote, they see that a couple pieces are stitched unevenly. From reading and watch both versions of the play, the viewer can tell that the quote was sewn during a time of unsteadiness. This stitching has led me to conclude that it was sewn either soon before or shortly after the murder of her husband. Minnie was very nervous about what she has done or what she was about to do. During times of escalated rage, people tend to shake uncontrollably until the adrenaline of the anger wears down. The quote from the story itself captures how Miss Hale and Miss Peters felt about protecting Minnie and trying to hide the evidence. It explains that they could tell that she was either nervous or anxious. It was obvious that she was unsteady. And look at this, it's all over the place. Why, it looks as if she didn't know what she was about. So the last main major items in the house that I found to be significant symbols were the fire and the last jar of preserves. The fire had some ashes in it that you could tell had been going recently. I believe that the fire could be assumed to be Minnie's and John's relationship before everything had gone down. It's obvious that this entire scenario didn't happen all of a sudden, and definitely not in one night, but the fire had many coals which could relate to the many years that they were married. One day, the fire between them two just happened to go out, and that's when it all started to fall apart. Miss Hales and Miss Peters take the last jar of preserves, and they were planning on giving it to Minnie. This jar signifies the last hope that Minnie might have, and due to the fact that these two ladies found it and kept it safe, maybe Minnie has a chance for a new beginning, or even just to simply escape being charged with the murder of her husband. The quote from the story itself depicts the scene. I declare I believe that it's the only one. After the fire went out, all of the jars of preserves broke, but one was still left. In conclusion, many small items in the White House indicated troublesome pasts and hopeful futures. While the bird in its cage symbolized Minnie and her attempts to be freed from her husband, the other items in the house were more than what showed on the surface. For example, the quote is a representation of Minnie's mental stability. The rope is an extension of the struggle of women's rights during the early 1900s. The canary is many in some form or another. In the end, Miss Glaspell formed this play to raise awareness for the male-dominated society and how little of an influence that the intuitive woman of the world had on the future. Instead of coming straight out and saying what she intended for the film, she let the audience watch it, which in the end made the audience absorb her viewpoint instead of instantly rejecting it. This is my source page. I just wanted to thank everyone for listening to my presentation, and I hope it gives you a different viewpoint on the play Trifles by Miss Glaspell.